My name is Rodney Page. I have been involved in some aspect of Counsel for Court Excellence for most of its 40 years. I'm currently retired from the active practice of law, and I'm on the board as a civic member. But for a long time, I represented at different times two law firms on the board of CCE. My first involvement came in the early 1980s. I was a young litigation partner at the Washington firm of Arent Fox. Charlie Horsky, together with Sam Harahan, was at that time building the base of law firms and businesses and civic organizations that became the membership of CCE. And he called up a senior partner at Arent Fox and said that he'd like to have the firm's involvement. It was determined that as a litigation partner, I might be the appropriate person for that task. And so I joined the board, and over a period of about 15 years was engaged in different kinds of activities and committee work for CCE. In 1998, I joined the Washington office of Brian Cave, and I took with me to the new firm my membership in CCE, and also helped involve that firm in the work of CCE as well. Around the year 2000 or 2001, I became the vice president of CCE. I worked with Tim May, who was president for about 5 years. It was during Tim's tenure that Sam Harahan, who was the founding director of CCE and really a major force in getting the organization up and running, it was during that time Sam decided to retire. And so I was tapped to lead a committee, a search committee, to find his successor. We did that. We ended up going through the process actually twice in about a year and a half, but we were fortunate to bring in June Kress as executive director, and she had an outstanding run as executive director. In the year 2006, I became the president of CCE. I held that post for about 4 years, and stepped aside at that time because of some duties in my law firm. But I remember a number of the things that we did during that period of time. One that I'm proud of and have a great recollection about has to do with jury service in the District of Columbia. Jury service was always a major concern of CCE. In the early years, the organization promoted the one-day, one-trial principle for the local courts. But what we found later was that the response rate of citizens in D.C. to the jury summons was very low. It was about 40%. And so during the time I was president, a major study was published that had been worked on for quite a while that dealt with the causes of that and found some ways to remedy the situation. The study led to new legislation that was adopted in the District of Columbia relating to how the juror lists are compiled. Another activity I remember fondly was during the 1990s when CCE sponsored a series of public forums. These were events held typically in a large venue with a large audience. They were panel discussions about a topic of current substantial legal interest, sometimes a constitutional issue. There were some issues of the First Amendment discussed. And the participants would usually be leading practitioners from around the country, judges, sometimes a Supreme Court justice, and professors who were knowledgeable on the issues involved. I had the privilege in 1998 of co-chairing one of those events with Judge Royce Lambert. And the topic we had was lawyers, the courts, and the press. Who's fooling whom, or who's using whom? It was great fun. These were broadcast on C-SPAN. Some of them, I think, are still available online. But it was an example of CCE's leadership in addressing legal issues in the District of Columbia and actually beyond. So I congratulate CCE for its 40th year, and I commend the current leadership for maintaining the high standards that the community has come to expect.